Selena Hill, the Deputy Digital Editor at Black Enterprise, and today I'm super excited to speak with award winning journalist, author, entrepreneur, activist, and tenured college professor, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. Mark, you've been a staple in mainstream media for more than 16 years, offering political commentary on CNN, BET, and Fox News. You've also hosted several shows like BET News, VH1 Live, HuffPost Live, of course, Our World with Black Enterprise, and Black
Right.
News Tonight, where you demolished everyone who attempted to debate you. Now, no, you did. I was here for it every single time. Now you have a new TV news show called The Grio with Marc Lamont Hill. What makes this show different?
I think this show is different because first of all, it takes all of the best parts of what I've already done and builds on it. So it has the benefit of my experience, it has the benefit of history. When I worked with Black Enterprise, I learned so much about what it meant to engage Black excellence, Black beauty, to find those Black entertainers, those community activists, those voices that were doing amazing things in our community and to highlight them. And I always brought that with me. I always brought, the community aspect of viewers from HuffPost Live. It's with CNN, it was about the breaking news stories and the most urgent topics. And in Black News Channel, the idea of saying I'm going to shape a conversation purely around the interests of Black folk, the experience of Black folk, the stories of Black folk, all that stuff mattered to me so much. It was so wonderful. And so with the Grio, I get to bring all that, and I get to bring the largest Black newsroom in America. I get to bring the resources of Byron Allen. I get to bring the combination of platforms from HBCU platform to the Weather Channel to, you know, even the comedy platforms that Byron has. All of that stuff is a resource. It's a tool that will help me tell our stories better, tell our stories more richly, tell our stories more accurately. And so I'm excited about it. And also I've learned what works. I mean, you mentioned the debates. I realize that folk like watching a good debate and they like to watch their interests, their side, their perspective represented correctly, right? Because you go on some network and you'll see one person be brilliant and the other person be terrible. And depending on what the political persuasion is of that network, that's what determines who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Here, I want the best. I want the best of all. I want the best representation of an argument, and then I'm still going with the ass, you know, or bring somebody in who will, and if they're right, then maybe they'll persuade me. That's fine too. But the goal is to make sure that we have the best resources for the best debates, the best conversations, and I'm just so excited about it.
I'm super excited about it too. One thing I know you guys are have to cover or will be covering is just Kanye. Um, as I mean, I don't know if you saw the latest, but he recently apologized for making anti-Semitic comments after he lost all those partnerships with Adidas, Balenciaga, Vogue, The Gap, etc. But my question is, why do you think, Mark, Kanye has not apologized for wearing a White Lives Matter shirt and saying that George Floyd died from drug abuse?
Well, first, I don't think that his apology for his anti-Semitism was a particularly good one. He almost he almost said it like, well, if you're upset, then I'm sorry you're upset, right? He gave like the dude apology, I'm sorry you feel that way, as opposed to an actual understanding of how his comments were deeply hurtful, as opposed to a self-reflection, as opposed to a commitment to moving, behaving, speaking differently in the future. So I don't accept any of it. But, you know, there's no reason for Kanye to apologize for White Lives Matter because the people who he cares about in the corporate world, the companies I'm talking about, the political friends that he has on the right, they don't care about Black lives. They don't care about George Floyd. So, Kanye is not moving out of feelings, he's moving out of interests. He's not responding to the outcry and saying, you know what, I did harm, let me repair it. He's saying, I'm losing a whole lot. How can I stop the bleeding? And Kanye West should absolutely be held accountable for his anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic remarks. He should also be held accountable for his misogynistic remarks and his anti-black remarks. Unfortunately, um, in the aftermath of Kanye saying slavery was a choice a couple years ago, people still got on planes and flew to Wyoming. People still went to Sunday service. People still bought Donda. People still wanted features. And so until we are committed to holding him accountable, even if his music is good, even if the sneaks is fly, then it's very difficult for him to have any accountability. He's not going to get religion and he's not going to be like, Paul on the road to Damascus and be like, oh my God, I got this wrong. Let me change. He's only going to do it if he has to.
Well, to your point, then, as a culture, how do we hold him accountable? Should we cancel Ye, or should we continue to support him and love on him because we know he has a mental health, issue, even though he's saying all these anti-black remarks? So, what should we do?
Well, I don't. I think there's a distinction here between canceling and accountability. I think holding him accountable isn't canceling him. It's saying, look, you're doing things that cause harm, and we need to we need to get you into a place where you're no longer doing that harm. And hopefully, that's the first thing, stop the harm. And then second, we need to hopefully get you into a healthier space where you can make those healthy decisions to not want to cause harm.
Mm.
His mental health issue is a significant issue, but mental health issues don't make you anti-Semitic. They don't make you say slavery was a choice. They don't make you, believe that George Floyd wasn't killed by a knee on his neck, despite the medical evidence, the eyewitness accounts, and the fact that even Derek Chauvin himself in federal court pled guilty. Right? I mean, so for me, accountability looks like first of all us saying, Kanye, we're funding your absurdity, right? you know his ability to create platforms to express anti-Semitism and anti-blackness is partially due to the fact that he has a lot of money, and he has a lot of money because we buy his stuff.
Yep.
Similarly with R. Kelly, right? It's like it wasn't enough. Part of why we shouldn't be listening to R. Kelly's music is because we don't want to reinforce rape culture and the harm to black girls. But it was also like, no, the money R. Kelly's getting from listening to him, listening to us, the money that R. Kelly's getting from us listening to his streams and his albums, that's what's funding the sex dungeons and the women trapped in the house and so we're actively funding something harmful. And so if Kanye is actively doing things harmful largely because he has the money and resources to make his voice heard, then we can't allow him to have his voice heard in that way. That's not punishing free speech. He has a right to say whatever he wants, but I don't have to pay for it. It's saying that we don't want to support what you do.
Right. So we should boycott Ye, don't cancel Ye.
Yeah. And it's boycott is an interesting framework. I mean, I'm fine with boycotting. Yeah, I don't have an issue with it per se. But for me, it's less even about an organized political boycott and more about me just saying I don't want to buy the album of somebody
Mm.
who thinks slavery was a choice.
Right.
If Kanye had come out as let me not use Kanye as an example. If another rapper had come out as a snitch, we wouldn't need no boycott. Okay? Rappers would just stop making features with him. Homies in the street would just stop buying it because they don't rock that way, right?
So why is
Um,
it acceptable for him to say anti-black things and we still support it? Like myself included, right? Like I was like, I'm not listening to Kanye, and then Donda came out, and I was like, oh my god, this album is so good. Like I love it, and I kept listening, and it was like, and I do feel like black folks, like we're so forgiving sometimes, and I kind of felt myself, wanting him to be redeemed, wanting him to get better, and to see him doing better, and I felt like he was doing that, and I was like, okay, yay. Maybe he learned. Maybe he had some self reflection, but then again, it's like he's just doing it all over again. And like folks are saying, just like cooning out.
Nothing he did or said suggested self reflection or change. But we wanted to believe it because we like the music. If somebody whack was doing all this stuff, we wouldn't be out here, fighting to give them another chance. Also, we need to be honest with as a community. We need to be honest about who we give second chances to. We still haven't forgiven Chrisette Michelle. She
Mm,
gave one performance at an inauguration, and frankly, it's much easier for me to understand why a sister would take the president's invitation to perform at inauguration, even if
yeah.
it's the worst, most disgusting president in American history, or at least since in our timeline. It's much easier for me to understand that than it is why Kanye would wear a MAGA hat and campaign for Trump,
Right.
why he would do things that he did. We found it possible um, to forgive Ye, or even just pretend it didn't happen.
Hmm.
But we still won't give Chrisette Michelle anything, and that's
Mm,
because she's a black woman, and
yep.
it's so much easier to dispose of a black woman for a minor offense than it is a black man for a major one.
Mm. So true. And that's a great point. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. I do want to switch gears because I know we don't have you for a long time. Earlier this year, or even last year, you talked about suffering from a mild heart attack, which
Mm.
almost became fatal. Did that near death experience change your perspective on life at all?
Yeah, I certainly think about my health and my well-being more. I certainly make better decisions about, um, you know, what I do with my body, how I use my body in terms of, for example, you know, the kind of food, my diet, or
Yes.
exercise or sleep. This whole, they sleep, we grind culture that we see is not one that I want to reinforce. I'm going to do my best. Now, my health issues weren't because I was unhealthy or lazy or doing a lot of harm to myself. They came out of a blood clot that was from a basketball injury. So there was not much I could have done to prevent it. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I want to make sure that I am paying attention to my body in ways that I didn't before. When I got rushed to the hospital, as I was on the floor crawling to get to an ambulance, I went and grabbed my laptop. Um, I look back on that now and feel ridiculous.
You grabbed your laptop?
Yeah, I said if I'm in the hospital, I might need to work.
Oh, okay.
This culture of work, of prioritizing work over family, over our health, over our personal well-being, over our mental health. This is stuff that we have to stop.
Mm,
And so it definitely made me think about that. And also, I'm a black man in my 40s. I hope to live to be 100, but you know, if I live to be the average age, it means I've lived more years than I have left. You know,
mhm.
I got fewer summers in front of me than I have behind me. And so it makes you think about the mark you want to leave on the world, the impact you want to have. Again, I'm not dying no time soon, but it makes me think about things like legacy, and not that financial, economic, patriarchal, elitist stuff. I'm talking about, you know, can I leave my community better than I found it? Can I produce a project creatively or intellectually that endures beyond this moment or even my life? Who can I love? Who can I support? Who can I mentor? And how can I do it better? I think about those things a lot more now than ever before.
That's so beautiful. And speaking of impact and legacy, just to bring it back to the Grio with Marc Lamont Hill, you're making the impact there on a nightly or a daily, weekly basis. You'll be informing us, educating, and empowering your community. So just let us know as we end how and where we can tune in to the Grio with Marc Lamont Hill.
Man, the Grio is everywhere. You can download the Grio app and see it on all of the devices y'all have. You can also watch it on cable, which is every night thing. It's a beautiful thing to be back on cable TV every single night. So wherever you get your cable, you can check your providers. The Grio is there, whether it's Xfinity, whether it's FiOS, whether it's Spectrum, whether it's Dish TV, Direct TV, whatever. We there. So, go to your TV channel, watch us, support it. If you can't watch it at night, DVR it and watch it the next day. But, we make a call all the time for more black media, for more black programs. We make a demand that companies, corporations, channels give us more options for black ideas, black artists, black creatives. And when we get them, we got to support them. So all I tell people is, all of y'all who have been clamoring for black news, we have another one here. We got another project. We got another platform. And I'm not saying just watch it because it's black, because something could be black and still be terrible. I'm saying this is actually good, and it's built by black people for black people. It's owned by a black person. It's distributed by black people. It's produced by black people. It's hosted by black people. So pay attention to us, watch it, support it, and we'll be around for a long time, hopefully.
That's the seed we should be sowing into, and we should be supporting,
Word, word.
everybody there. Thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate you. And congratulations once again on your new show.
Thank you, my sister. I appreciate you. Peace.